Hey guys, welcome to part three of My Best Friend is in Jail for Murder. If you have not seen parts one and two, please go watch them. They're up on the channel. But guys, how are we feeling so far about the story? It's mild so far, right? It's pretty mild. Let's get into the rest of high school. I want to talk now just about my relationship with Andrew and like how it kind of fizzled out because at one point your girl does get it together and decides she deserves better than him. And gosh, it was just very interesting, very interesting. So, needless to say, Andrew hated my friendship with Tiffany because she and I began working kind of in cahoots with each other. And it's kind of sick and twisted, but it's true. She would tell me like, "Oh yeah, Andrew hit me up. He wants to be together with me. He did it like she would send me messages, screenshots and stuff like that." And then I would do the same. And we kind of like had a little game going between us. Like, yeah, I love him. And yeah, you love him, but like we both know that he's not gonna pick just one of us. So we're just gonna have our fun with it, I guess. And so we do. And for Christmas one year, and I'm so dumb, or I was. I feel like I'm wiser now. But for Christmas one year, Andrew came and spent Christmas with my family, and he had given me a promise ring, and the promise ring was gold with a green emerald, and it said "Mom" on it, Mom. And when he gave it to me for Christmas, I was like, "Why does it say Mom?" And he says, "Well, I went to the jewelry store with my mom or with my dad, and I saw the green and I knew you would love it, but I didn't realize it said mom on it until I bought it already and they wouldn't take it back." And I believed his story. Y'all, I think he stole it from his mama's jewelry box or something. But he told me to wear it upside down so it would say wow. So it would say wow instead of mom. And I was like, you know what? You know what? Yes. Anyway, so I we had so like there was just so much that you just get tired at some point. You just get tired, and I had just gotten I had grown so tired. And so Tiffany, like for real, like legitimately moved on and she got herself another boyfriend and they were thriving. She was happy, she was in love, and I was like, "You know what? You don't deserve me, Andrew, after all you've put me through with this girl." And I was like, always trying to be with you, be loyal to you. I was loving you. I was giving you all I could, saving my little allowance money and buying you little presents. And you treated me so bad in return. And even to the point that like I he didn't even try. Like we went to homecoming together in high school, and he didn't even try to put effort into getting ready for homecoming. Like I had sent him a picture of my dress, or not a picture, but like a picture of the fabric color, so he could match his shirt to the fabric. He had weeks to prepare for this, and instead he shows up wearing the complete wrong color. Luckily for me, I have a stepmom who I don't know if she identifies as a stud or not. If you don't, I'm sorry, but she owned a dress shirt that he could borrow that matched my dress perfectly. And we went to homecoming together, and he just, I don't know, I believe we got into a huge fight at the homecoming or something. And I think I ended up dancing with someone else because it just was, he was too much. He was too much. And back then, I didn't have time for too much, or maybe I did. Clearly, I did, but I decided at one point I was going to stand up. Anyway, Um, gosh, I think it was the beginning of my junior year though, for sure, that I was like, "You know what? Like we're just done. I'm done with this. I'm going to break up with you and I'm going to find someone better for me." And I don't know if I found someone better, but I did find someone different. I did. I have a lot of crazy stories about me and Andrew, and I'm not sure if you guys even care to hear them all, but the things that that boy put me through, absolutely diabolical. Absolutely diabolical. It should have ended when it began, honestly. Like I said, you should probably never date your friends' exes, but diabolical. Just absolutely diabolical. He was not a good person, and eventually it resorted to him being very verbally abusive and treating me like I was absolutely nothing. And when we ended the relationship, he asked for his ring back. I had no issue giving the ring back, but like we went to different schools and we had to already coordinate when we would see each other. So in my mind, it was not a priority to give it back until I saw him again. Well, one day I was at the mall with Tiffany and he happened to be there with a group of his friends. And he saw me and he looked like really sad, like I just can't believe like we're over and all of that. And it was just like I don't know, he kind of threw himself a little pity party. And I think he called me from like a private number because he may have been blocked on my phone, but somehow he called me and he was like, "Can you meet me over by this area? I want to talk." And so Tiffany was like, "You know what? Go talk to him. I'll give you some space or whatever." So I go up and talk to him and we end up getting into an argument. I don't even remember what the argument was about, but we get into an argument. And I remember taking the ring off of my finger and I threw it at his chest and it bounced off his chest and fell on the floor. And he gave me like these puppy dog eyes and he bent over and he picked it up and he just like sulked away and walked down the hall away. And I felt like at that moment, like I am a boss. Like I'm HBIC. Like you can have this ring. I don't care. And so I guess a little bit of guilt set in and I kind of felt bad. And so then he calls me and he was like, "I'm over at the food court. Can you come to the food court? Like, I just really want to talk to you before I let you go." And so me and Tiffany walked to the food court together and he's at a table with like all of his friends and this girl who I can't say that we were friends, but like I knew her. I had gone to that school. I knew her from then. And she and I were not friends, but we weren't enemies, just neutral. Well, this boy, Andrew, decides to get down on one knee and ask that girl sitting at the table, "Will you marry me?" With the ring that was my mom slash wow ring. I am like so mad because not that he did that, because I mean, I didn't care. Like, be with who you want to be with. But the fact that like you thought you were being funny, trying to humiliate me, mm. So at that point, I'm done. I want nothing to do with him anymore. And like, it's time to move on. Move on. So as time goes on, I'm like, just we're me and Tiffany we're great. We're besties. Again, she's dating somebody and I'm happy for her and her relationship. And me, I am what am I doing? I get a job. I'm working at a bowling alley and living my best life. I love it. I loved my job. I had great coworkers. It was super fun. Making my own money. At this time I had a best friend, a guy best friend, and he had a car. So he would come pick me up every weekend and he and I would go out to Olive Garden and we would scam. We would scam Olive Garden because I had a coupon on my phone and it was for a free appetizer, and we loved, like, the fried ravioli or the fried mozzarella, I'm not sure which one it was, and, like, the coupon was, like, way expired, but I would, like, show it to the server every time, and we would get a free appetizer every time we went, and they never caught on to us coming every weekend. Anyway, I was having fun, like, life was so, so fun, and I had formed, like, my own best friend group in high school. It was me I'm comfortable saying their names because they know I love them and I have love for them. It was me, my friend Jacob, and then our other friend Nefertiti, and we were just besties, and they created the best years of my high school life for me, like, them being my friends. So they know how much I love them. But that's neither here nor there for this story. Um, I will say, like, after Andrew was out of the picture, Tiffany and I's friendship started to be somewhat healthy. I didn't have feelings for her anymore. I realized that I pretty much exclusively like men. I think I just had I think what I felt for her, honestly, was more so a she's so pretty, I wanna be more like her, or I wanna be her, not in like a crazy, like, single white female kinda way or the roommate kinda way. More in like a just like she like, I don't know, just infatuation. Oh, like, I mean, I don't really have a different way to describe it other than that. Like, I I don't know. I don't ever wish that we were ever in a serious relationship. I don't have any regrets about that. And, nothing other than that kiss, nothing ever went anywhere between she and I. And I mean, honestly, part of me is grateful for that. But I realized that, the beginning and end of that was just that. Um so funny story as it's ridiculous. I don't mind embarrassing myself. I've never been, like, ashamed of my stories or some of the things I've done in life because you know what? Like, I can't change it. It is what it is. So, this is a little side quest from the story, but it's funny. It's funny to me. I can laugh at myself now. But I as I was working at the bowling alley job, I was also, like, really into grunge, like 90s grunge aesthetic, and so I tried to, like, make my Instagram feed, my Tumblr, like, very 90s grunge, and I would follow people on social media who were into the same type of thing or had similar types of feeds because I wanted, like, that aesthetic across my timeline. At the time, I also had, like, freshly gone natural, so I had, like, a teeny weeny afro, like, I was not serving long, luscious locks back then. So, it was just an interesting time, but I remember that there was this guy who was, like, kinda Instagram famous. He had, like, I wanna say maybe 20 to 30,000 followers, and I had followed him, and he followed me back. And he commented on one of my pictures. And mind you, your girl was single. Like, Andrew was way out of the picture. He was forgotten about by me and Tiffany. And so he commented on one of my pictures and he was like, "You're beautiful. DM me." And I was like, there's no way this, like, Insta famous dude is trying to, like, talk to me. And so I DM him and I'm like, "Hey, like, what's up?" And we end up talking. And some of the things I tolerated when I was younger, you would think, like, I would have just been better, but I wasn't. I wasn't, guys. Anyway, he was, very nice to me at first, but quickly became extremely toxic, and I had to cut him off. I cut him off, but I never, like, officially broke up with him, and Imma talk about that. But essentially, what would happen was we would talk, like, on the phone all the time, we would text all the time. He was in high school also, and he lived in Augusta, Georgia, and, um, I really, like I had never done anything long distance before, but, like, I'm like, I don't know, I guess it could work. I've seen stuff. And we would FaceTime because at this point I had an iPad, so I could FaceTime. I still wasn't an iPhone girly yet, but we could FaceTime. And so we would talk pretty often, but he would get really mad at me for things that I wasn't willing to do. Like, for example, he wanted me to give him my debit card number. And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna give you my debit card number." And he's like, "I'm hungry. There's no food in my house. I promise I'm not gonna steal your money." But I'm like, "Okay, well, give me your address and I'll send pizza to your house, but you're not gonna use my card to order it." And I remember one night it was like snowing and I was working at my job and I worked like nights after school from like 3 p.m. to like 10 p.m. or something like that. And he and I had gotten into an argument while I was at work about God knows what. And he made me cry. And I was like on the phone crying and he was like, "I don't want to hear that." And he hangs up on me. And I was like, I don't care. And then he went on Instagram and like made a post about how he like it was so mean. It was so mean. But he knew I was a sucker for like being called pet names and he would always call me Angel. And I loved it. I loved it. So he would apologize and I'd forgive him and then start the cycle again. I guess I'm just really good at sticking around toxic cycles. I guess I love that energy. I'm just now having this realization as I record this video that I love. I mean, I don't love it. I don't want it, but I'm realizing now that cycles are something that I need to really like figure out how to break. Because, honey, this is not good. This is not good. Anyway, I decided not to talk to him for a little while after, we had had a big blow up fight and he was hurting my feelings and he never really cared to really truly stop being a douchebag. I'm like, I'm not going to talk to him for a little while. And so Tiffany, she was kind of like, she was my friend through all of this. And she was like, "You don't deserve that. You deserve better. You could find better." And so one day, Tiffany sends me a picture of like some guy from like a screenshot of some guy from Instagram. And I'm like, "Oh, he's cute." Like, who I thought he was a model. Like, I didn't think that because we would like send people like, like people back and forth, like, "Oh, like follow this person because like they have a cool feed or they're cute or whatever." Like, we weren't like, whatever. And she was like, or I was like, "He's cute. Like, what's his Instagram? I'm gonna follow him because I thought again he was like some kind of model or something." And she goes to me, "He thinks you're cute." And I'm just like, "Oh, I'm not really interested in dating right now." Like, and then she told me he lived in North Carolina. And at the point, I had no idea where North Carolina was. So I was like, "Well, why would I date him? Like, it didn't work really well for me with the guy in Georgia. So why would I like it just made zero sense." And I'm like, as cute as I thought the guy was at that time, it didn't make sense to me. I was 16 going on 17 and I was like, I don't think long distance is for me. I think I'd rather be with somebody who exists in real life. And she was like, "Okay, fair, but you should just talk to him." And so, I'm like, "Fine, whatever." She was like, "How about we just do a group Skype call?" And, she's like, "He's recently single." And I'm like, "How do you know him?" And so her boyfriend that she had been dating for I think over a year at that point, um, he was best friends with this guy that she had sent me. And they had never met in person, but they were best friends through playing PlayStation since they were like 10 or something years old. So they had known each other and had talked to each other a lot and had grown a friendship from that. And he was recently single and apparently Tiffany thought he and I would be a good match and she's like, "You just give it a try." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So what happens? Later that night, I'm like doing my makeup because I don't want to go on Skype with this guy and like be ugly. And so, I'm doing my makeup and I'm trying to like find like a cute little shirt to wear or something, so we can go on this Skype call. So Tiffany and her boyfriend are on Skype, and then the guy joins. What are we gonna call him for this series? What are we gonna call him? Let's call him trying to think of a name to call him. I don't want to use his real name. Um, let's call him Victor. Victor. Victor joins the call and it's me. And we all realize we don't have Skype Premium, so we can't all see each other. I can only see Tiffany and her boyfriend, um, but I don't think they can see me or something of the sort. So I can't even see the guy that I just did my makeup for. Anyway, just hearing his voice, we end up having a really decent conversation and we hit it off immediately. We have like a lot of things in common. We talk about our favorite foods, favorite colors, all that stuff. And he says to me, like, he says that he's gonna marry me one day. And like I'm like, ha ha ha, funny. I'm genuinely not interested. Like, as nice as he was, and although he was great to talk to, I genuinely was not interested. And so the next day comes and like we had a great conversation, but the next day comes and he calls me and I think Tiffany may have given him my phone number. I'm not sure that I gave him mine because I knew that it started and ended for me with that conversation. Fun little flirtation, but that's it. But he calls me and he is like, I really enjoyed talking to you. And I would love to keep talking, if you're open to it. And I'm like, sure, why not? And boy, oh boy, did that take me on a roller coaster ride. Roller coaster ride. Um, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the next part because you guys are going to lose it when I tell you what Tiffany did. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you for watching this part. Again, I know it's a lot of information, a lot of details. So if there's anything I'm missing, I'll try to make a follow up video to fill in the blanks. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. But I will see you guys over in the next part. Okay? Bye.